I really was not going to do this video at all until I got a request on my Facebook page to do some spoiler talk for The Conjuring 2. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Spoiler warning for The Conjuring 2. Here are some spoiler thoughts that I couldn't share with you on my non-spoiler review, which you can check out right here. Otherwise, be warned, spoilers. The added layer that I mentioned in my non-spoiler review, the added element that James Wan put into this film, was the fact that there was a demon inhabiting a spirit who was inhabiting a person. If you'll recall, in the first Conjuring, there was just an evil entity inhabiting the mother in that film. In this film, it's a sequel, gotta take it to the next level! There's actually one demon taking hold of different entities and appearing to people in different ways depending on how they choose to be haunted or something.
The general rule is that they access your innermost fears.
Yes, they access your innermost fears. Whatever is in the back of your mind that you're scared of, right? That demon will take advantage of that and take a shape that will be haunting to you. The majority of the movie, we are led to believe that it is this Bill Wilkins character who is haunting the house. Then there's this nun character that Lorraine Warren keeps having visions of, and her husband draws perfectly. By the way, if I drew that painting, would you be...
I'd say take it the fuck out of
Exactly! She wakes up one morning and he's like, I couldn't sleep. She's like, why? I just had to get this painting out of my way. What do you think? And he turns it to her, and it's the most horrific, demonic embodiment of a nun that you have ever seen in your entire life. And she's like, oh, that's weird. I saw that same thing. It's like, no. That you drew that on a Sunday morning while drinking coffee? What the fuck? He framed it as I couldn't sleep, so I came down to the den to do some painting because I like to paint in my off time. That's normal in the Warren household, right? That's some shit you can't show your wife before she's had coffee. Come on. The crooked man thing I thought was where the film sort of lost me here. As I said in my non-spoiler review, very, very good use of CGI for the most part. I couldn't tell what was CGI. James Wan does a lot of stuff right there in the camera, makes it feel very real. Some people pointed out, again on my Facebook, they were like, well, what about that one CGI thing, Brian? And I didn't want to spoil it in my non-spoiler review, but I will say that, yeah, the crooked man, when the dog just turns into a Tim Burton character and starts walking down the hallway, it's like, okay, what is that now? I think overall the crooked man could have either been completely removed from the film or used solely as the main plot of the film. Had you used the crooked man as the main plot, it gets a little Babadook-ish, as you pointed out. Is it real? Is it not real? Is it this, so the crooked man it's in a little toy. The risk you run there is that the little kid comes running out and is like, Mom, the crooked man's haunting my bedroom. And then she's like, come on, it's just a toy. And that gets a little Babadook-ish. And so I get maybe the reason they wanted to go the Bill Wilkins route, but then you have the crooked man and you have the nun and you have the demon. And I kind of think the crooked man was there just so that they could have a toy to put back on the shelf at the end of the movie. It's like in all these Ed and Lorraine Warren movies, we need a toy to put back on the shelf. So yeah, I do think that the crooked man could have been removed, or Bill Wilkins could have been removed, or the nun could have been removed. As the story played out, I think it's easier just to take the crooked man out of the equation and then come up with another little object that Ed and Lorraine Warren can put in their room at the end. Maybe the remote control? That was the part that got me. The remote control part. When she's changing the channel. Yeah, I screamed. It scared me. It's a scary movie. She's changing the channel and then puts the remote down, and then the channel changes, and then the remote has moved somewhere, right? Which that's what happens in these movies all the time. People just go, that's weird, and they just move it back. Fuck that! You're home alone, sick from school. The remote was right here, and now it's on the chair that's also rocking by itself, by the way. It's what we call a hint. My house! I was like, oh shit! Hey! There it is! You got me, James Wan.
And he doesn't use those jump scares very often.
No, they were jump scares, but as my best friend Chris Stuckman points out on his channel, which you should check him out, if you're not watching Chris Stuckman, why the fuck are you watching me? Come on, man. But as he points out, there are jump scares in a James Wan film, but they are not false. And as someone pointed out on my Facebook page, the guitar being in tune, yeah, that's kind of a It's kind of a trope. I don't know. It's kind of a thing that's in movies. Everyone's like, oh, is that a guitar? Let me pick that up and play you something. And then all of a sudden their voice has excellent compression and EQ, and the guitar is perfectly mic'd. It's always pristine audio quality, and the guitar is perfectly in tune. Because that's not how that goes. Especially because they say like her dad or her grandfather gave it to her. So years, it's been sitting there for, I'm gonna say years. I'm gonna guess years. And he just picks it up like, let me just play a little something. This is how picking up a guitar that's been sitting there for years, this is how that goes. Oh, is this your dad's guitar? Let me play you a little something. Wise men say, hold on. Only fools rush in. Hold on. You have a piano? You mean A? Okay. That is how playing a guitar that's been sitting there for years goes.
Even weeks.
Even weeks. Even days. Even if it's been days in a hot apartment for some reason. Just pulling a scenario out of my brain, completely out of left field. But let's say the air conditioning in your apartment was broken and it was 90 fucking degrees in your apartment. Even that can cause your guitar to go in and out of tune a little bit. Other than that, there were a few times where the dialogue was on the nose, borderline cringeworthy. There was that part where the cops, the cops come in. The cops witness shit moving around the apartment. They witnessed it. So that's the thing in the horror movie. Like usually no one believes them because the spirits don't act up unless it's only the family that's in the house. In this movie, the cops show up, the spirits move shit all around the room, and then the cop just like puts her hand on the mom and she's like, we can't help you, but I know someone who can. It's this sort of like, let's advance to the next part of the story. All right, turn the page. And then the biggest one, which you've noticed it as well, they had to come up with a reason to separate Ed and Lorraine. And so they come up with the stupidest fucking reason ever, which is a wooden door gets closed. And even though Lorraine is with another dude who is probably 200 pounds plus human being, he can't seem to bust down the door. So he goes to get an axe. And then when he comes back with the axe, he doesn't like chop down a door the way that you would if you were trying to get into a room. He chops down the door in the way that you would if you were trying to build tension. I get it. It's a movie. Gonna go with it. But when they're on opposite sides of the door and she's like, wait, please wait. And he's like, I know I promised you, but I have to go. I can't leave. It's this weird, like, it was awkward. He's gonna fall out the window and land on the tree trunk. She knows that's gonna happen. We've seen that before in movies too, but I just felt like that moment in particular was so manufactured. Yeah, contrived. That's another thing that I was just reminded of, is that I don't think they should have done like the zoom in on the tree trunk. Like the tree gets struck by lightning and it makes this point. And we've seen these visions where Ed Warren gets impaled by something sharp through his sternum, right? And so in that moment, it's like, this is the thing that's going to impale him. Where I kind of think it should have just struck the tree and then, okay, and then moving along. And then we go through the whole sequence in the house and he chases all the way up to the girl's room. And then when the girl gets tossed out the window and he catches her, then it can be revealed that the tree trunk was the sharp object that pierced his chest. I kind of thought that might have worked a little better because once you saw that tree trunk, you were like, I know exactly where the rest of this scene is going. And then all that there was left to do was just, engineer a way to separate Ed from Lorraine. But then she calls the demon by name. And of course, he told her his name so that she could use it against him. So guys, those are my spoiler thoughts on The Conjuring 2. Like I said, I got a request to share my spoiler thoughts about the movie, so I did just that. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this video and you want to see any more of my ramblings about movies, you can always click right there to subscribe. Wise men say